Millions of people watch the news, but how many take action and build a business off of what they consumed? What's up and welcome to the Fervent 4. Did you know that only 4% of businesses ever cross the annual $1 million revenue mark? Hello, I'm Zack Miller, author of Anomaly. With me today, I'm my co-host Tim Ryan, lead man at startwheel.org. Thank you so much for joining us. The Fervent 4 is a weekly show each and every Thursday, 11 a.m., dedicated to sharing insights into growing a world-class business, no matter the climate. Dennis Woodbury did just that, something about it. Dennis, how's it going?
Oh, it's going fine, you guys. How y'all doing?
Doing well. Okay, so a few weeks ago on the show, I tried introducing by like memorization. And I was walking my dog this morning, and I literally recited everything that I needed to introduce you.
Okay.
And I did a terrible job, I feel like. So I apologize. If you were listening on my street while I was walking my dog, you saw a way better performance. Sometimes
do you talk out loud when you do this, or do you just talk to yourself?
Well, I feel like I talk to myself a lot, which I think is important, actually. I would think that it was out loud, but maybe not. So who knows? What performances are hard, though. Not a lot of people have done a performance. I think a lot of people don't look at a situation like this, a broadcast like this, getting on stage as a performance, especially in kind of the startup world where you're just kind of preaching and pitching your baby, but yet it's a performance because people are consuming this thing. Dennis, you have a lot of experience or not in kind of performing and getting on stage in general about this business or not?
Absolutely not.
And that part's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, it's I don't know what you do, Zach, but I mean, I'll lock myself in the office. I'll shut my door, and then I just start out loud rehearsing. I'll have my phone on with the timer going so I can get a rough idea how long it's going to take for me to talk, to get the points across that I need to talk about, and I'll just go over and over and over again until I feel pretty comfortable.
So something that I learned way too late in the game is that you should try to do the same performance over and over and over again. And the reason why is if you really look at some of the greatest performers out there, they're all reciting the same thing over and over again. Dave Chappelle on stage, Motley Crue. I don't know why Motley Crue came up, but like somewhat, any of your favorite comedians, any of your favorite musicians, they're all giving the same performance out there. But the stage, when they're on the stage, they're giving the same show. The audience is what changes. So
and especially now more so than ever. I mean, the set lists are the same because there's so much computer programming that goes into lights and effects and everything else that all that stuff is timed. So they have to do the same songs over and over and over again. They may go off script here and there, but it's the same show for them, but it's new for everybody that listens or sees it for the first time.
So knowing that you haven't done a lot of these before in the past, Dennis, how did you prepare for something like this?
Well, I basically have been so entranced in the services that we have to offer. I mean, I eat, sleep, and drink it. I don't have a dog to walk, but I mean, every now and then I go to walk with my wife, and we talk about eZverifi all the time. So it's second nature for me. But I mean, I'm going to do the best I can. I think I'll be able to hold my own.
I think
what is eZverifi?
eZverifi is a consumer verification service to allow individuals to become a little bit more protected when meeting a stranger. And we have coupled a few existing services, which we'll talk about later on. But I think that the reality is that up until now, consumers have not had the same protection that major businesses have, like two-factor authentications, one-time passcodes. There's a number of services that people have become accustomed to, but they all are coming from major corporations. No service before now is offering those same services for individuals.
Okay, so walk me back. A couple of years ago, you're watching the news, I think with your wife, and something happens that really triggers this to make you think, Wow.
Yeah, it was kind of devastating. I mean, it's been 5 years ago, believe it or not, but I still get chills when I think about an elderly couple that had pursued a dream car that they had found on Craigslist, and they basically drove across the country or across the state of Georgia, and was basically robbed and killed. They was somebody's parent. And when I saw that advertisement or that newscast, I just felt like something was wrong with that, because the internet is a very valuable part of our lives. There are all kinds of consumer networks or shopping networks, be it dating sites or OfferUp or Let Go, or I mean, there's just so many online venues and platforms today, but very few of them have put an emphasis on the protection between those unknown consumers, and more instances happen than not. But this particular one was the straw that kind of got underneath of my skin and made me take a notice to it. And I said, something's got to be done to help us be a little bit more protected when we're dealing with strangers.
So if someone's selling a couch on Facebook Marketplace or something like that, they can use a service like eZverifi to say, hey, before I let this even make an arrangement for someone to come to my house to purchase this sofa, I can make sure that this person is safe, or at least they are the person that they say they are, so that you can protect yourself. Is that
most definitely, Tim? You got it right on the head, because what we're saying to our users is that there's technology that's already existing, that you can verify the identity of a person before you actually let them step foot into your house, or you agree to meet them in public. Our services are pretty comprehensive. They'll include things like a photograph. We do device verification services. There's a 6 billion device consumer device verification service that we use. 6 billion devices we are linked back to an individual, and all those individuals are then linked to a service provider. Like my mobile device is a T-Mobile. I use T-Mobile. Well, T-Mobile connects me with the ID of my device. So when I register with eZverifi, now there's a link between my device, who I am personally, and my identity.
So with that, if someone is using, if they're a buyer or a seller, would they then register themselves with eZverifi, and then you can say, hey, this is my profile, I check out? Or is this something that happens afterwards that they say, hey, I want to?
We're trying to, Tim, we're trying to make this part of the purchasing or the transaction process. It takes less than a couple of minutes, depending on the status of where we are. For example, all our registrations are free, and it takes about 2 or 3 minutes for you to register with our services. Once you're registered, you have the opportunity to then verify someone else. In order to do that, though, you have to actually activate your account. When you activate your account, you'll be able to then verify someone else. And I think that, for the most part, it's very affordable. It's less than $2.49 per verification. And I think that everyone and anyone that can start to employ our services as just a part of the system and part of the transaction. So now they're not waiting until something happens. They're actually being proactive. They're actually saying that my life is worth something. So I'm going to use this tool. I'm going to use this tool in order to give me some advantage or some support system here. We have a built-in rating system that people can rate who they've dealt with in the past. A person, again, with our services gets a photo ID, a current photo ID, They get the fact that this person has been verified through our technology, and they can move forward, or they can choose not to. But the idea is that, there's an option here that there's so many services to this day that we think about that this becomes second nature to us. But like I said, I don't think people find it strange when they go to log into a financial institution and the financial institution sends them a 4-digit code. But that wasn't always in existence. It's relatively new, but that had to be implemented in order to help protect the resources of those financial institutions.
Well, that's all stuff that's online too, and this is more of the the physical aspect of it. So it's interesting because we use these tools online to make our lives better, to find a new sofa, a car, like in the case of the Georgia couple, or anything really, even something on Craigslist, meeting someone online to meet with them on Tinder or whatever dating apps are out there at this point, and you're just hoping that from a safety thing, the things that our parents taught us, don't talk to strangers. You just hope that was kind of BS at the time and that they'll be fine, when in reality a bigger percentage than any of us really want to think about makes it that stranger is kind of a bad person. And so by having a tool like this, it allows
people to have there's all kinds of statistics out there. Yeah, there's all kinds of statistics out there. They say that somewhere around 60% of online users have experienced some form of problem, and I'm not going to say tragedy, but some form of problem, because there is no accountability system set up there. Most companies like Craigslist or whatever, they know the problem exists, but they haven't invested in protecting each other. Most recently, there's a company called Tinder, which is a dating service. They've entered into a contract with a young lady that started a service to do background checks on some of their people. Now, it hasn't been completely deployed yet, but theoretically, they're already in bed with each other. And we don't know how sophisticated that will be, how much time will be allotted to it. But ours is almost in real time. It's pretty simple and instantaneous to the point that, for 2 or 3 minutes, if you start to engage with eZverifi in between your final decision to move forward with a transaction with someone, you'll have the advantage that has never been available to the average consumer or small business owner in the past.
So the case study in general is, okay, I've decided that I'm going to buy this thing on some sort of marketplace. I'm going to be connected with some sort of stranger on some sort of marketplace.
Yes.
I then decide, after talking to that person, that I'm ready to purchase this thing, which means I have to go and meet that person in person.
Sure.
Then I go on eZverifi, get their information, register, sign up, get them to verify their information. And if it comes back clean, we're good. If not, how do people find, what is it, like a big X or something? Like what happens when the person doesn't come back as Granby as you want them to? Like what's the scenario? Is it like that Ellen show where like the 4 contestants are there and they don't make it, so they just get dropped down, or is it like Squid Games? Or is it like Squid Games and they got the
that would be pretty interesting, but we couldn't figure out how to orchestrate that in our services, right?
Okay, well, it could be like Squid Games though. Have you seen Squid Games yet?
No, I haven't.
But I watched it.
No.
Okay, well, it's the bees and knees of the day, and people. It's all the rage on the Netflix. So the way that they take care of business, maybe that's the way that you could take care of business, Dennis. Probably not, actually. I think a lot of people would think that it's inappropriate. However, it is popular, and maybe it would work. But yeah, so how do people find out that it's not who they said they was, or talk to me about the security aspect after they're verified?
Again, everything is so instantaneous. You get a text message. We have a built-in chat system, first of all, where you can ultimately decide to communicate directly with that other person via our chat system. In return, when you submit a request for verification, you actually get a written notice that says, congratulations, this person has been verified. Their credentials check out. Or contrary to that, you'll get a message that says, we have not been able to confirm this person. Proceed at your own risk. So we don't have the opportunity to just discredit someone, but we're using our data and making it available to you as an individual so that you can have the opportunity to make an informed decision as to what you want to do as far as moving forward.
So if you back that up, if you have two potential buyers of whatever it is that you're selling, can you compare the two and say, hey, this one's already verified through eZverifi and this one is not? I'm going to go through the eZverifi person. Or
Most
you have to,
or the rating system, I guess, in that case too.
Right.
They have a 5-star. This person has a 3.8.
Yep, most definitely. So there's a definite benefit because, again, we know how important communications is, and in any relationship, the better and open the communications is, the more beneficial it's going to be for both parties or for all parties. And we know that through our services, we are opening the door for individuals to join together and be supportive. Because think about it. The person that has an interest in deceiving or taking advantage of someone is probably not going to want to be a member of eZverifi. Number one, they probably won't be verified, but more importantly, they will be exposed. And in exposing that person, now they're no longer a part of our network or never been a part of our network. And therefore, we will be able to support our members to be in contact with other trusted people.
Yeah, I would love to see if you're able to do that, from a consumer to business standpoint. I don't know how many times my mother-in-law will get a pop-up saying, hey, we've seized access of your computer. Call this number so that we can fix the problems. And then the first thing they ask for is the credit card number. And, she's completely naive and she doesn't know any better. She just knows the computer told her to call this number. And then next thing you know, we have to go through and cancel the credit card and the bank account information and get all that stuff straightened out. It's a complete mess.
Yeah, please send $1,500.
That situation just happened last week to one of my friends. Just happened last week. And like you're saying, it's actually sort of terrifying, when you think that they actually got into his computer because he called the number that they had provided. He called the number thinking he was reaching Microsoft.
Yeah.
And they actually linked on, had him to help them to log into his computer technically so that they could see what the problem was. And it was, I mean, my friend, he's not a scary person, but look, he was just as scared. He was like, I feel like I've been violated, and I'm like, well, you have, because you've actually opened the door for someone to access your information. And that's just another phase of it. So what I did with him was I took the phone number that they had asked him to call and I ran it through eZverifi. And the message came back that this number was not detectable. So had he been able to dial that number before he actually called it, he would have known I should not do this. Now, a lot of times, even today, and I don't know if you guys get it, but I get a lot of scam messages on my cell phone. But I get the notification that says
spam call or something.
Spam call or something, So, I mean, like I said, the technology is out there. It's just the fact that as a consumer, we don't have the option of using it or choosing to use it when we need it.
Right.
The institutions that have employed that technology, they've done it for a reason. They've done it because it works. They've done it because it is a necessity in this day and time when people are all over the world. When you have countries that are literally they make so much off of scamming people that it's unbelievable, So only way you respond to that is by, bringing those ghosts out of the closet. Those boogeyman got to come out the closet. And if you can shine a light on them, they gotta go hide or go get a job.
Well, I think a lot of the reasons why companies don't do this type of security at first is because it's such an outlier if you really think about it. It's like, get users on there. Do you build something like this as part of the program, or do you really just need to get the people to connect first, right?
And part of the marketing message is it's a safe place to connect.
Right.
And you don't want to acknowledge that it may not be.
Well, how do companies handle situations like that from a safety perspective?
Well,
I mean, do they just kind of like...
Yeah, I mean, as I'm listening to Dennis talk, I'm just thinking that's part of the problems where, like, if you're a publicly traded company and your stock prices were directly related on number of monthly active users, and you have a lot of these active users could be scam people, so it's like, man, it's complicated.
Well, and with the pandemic, I mean, I could think of someone like Eric J. Olson, who was buying gym equipment like crazy because he couldn't go to his local gym to work out. And so he's meeting these people to buy this gym equipment. He's not verifying any of it, and he's a short dude. I don't know if he's strong or anything. So who knows if he can actually defend himself in this situation. He's a pretty buff dude, Dennis. So I'm definitely joking this guy, but
Okay.
like, he lets his wife go out there in marketplace all the time. She's like, oh yeah, come pick up this or do that. And I sit there and I'm just like, this is interesting. Cause like, there's a lot of people who participate in peer-to-peer transactions like crazy, and they just hope that everything's going to be Granby.
Yeah.
And who knows?
And it only takes one moment for your day to be ruined, 1 second. Yeah. And it's unfortunate because, again, I surmise that most people are intelligent and that they really want to do the right thing, so giving them the opportunity and the choice is what's been missing. They really haven't had a choice. I mean, there's so many great deals online, but Mama used to say, if it sounds too good to be true, then it probably is, so nowadays, when you think about it, you could actually, you see all these deal opportunities, come buy this and get one free or whatever the case might be. I mean, you just have to be a little bit more practical in your expectations, maybe, of what it is that you're looking for. But I think that with a tool like eZverifi, and don't get me wrong, our goal is to help save a tragedy of one person, not millions, because we feel that, everyone, it's going to take time for people to have a need for our services. But the idea is that the merits speak for themselves. We're not doing something that's totally new or off the chain. We're just offering a service that exists to the general public and to small businesses.
With a company like Tender getting involved in something like this with the individual that you talked about, that smaller business as well, it sounds like businesses that are unicorns, businesses that have a lot of a larger user base, are starting to take this a little bit more serious, which means that there's a market for this.
Sure.
Where do you ultimately see this going? Do you I mean, is the idea to get acquired by one of those companies and let them use your stack around it? How do you see this kind of evolving out into the world of big business and peer-to-peer transactions?
Well, first of all, I look at where eZverifi is as just the starting ground. I mean, we're on ground zero, so we're trying to find our own extra niche in terms of continued growth. In technology, everything evolves, and that's what I've learned from being in this for the last few years, is that having the right team and being able to put together, that have that foresight to be able to say to folks, look, we want something that's not only efficient, but something that's effective as well. And trying to foresee what our future is like. Oh man, it could be enormous. I mean, I've already got so many avenues in my mind about what assets, what value services like eZverifi, because we're not going to be the only one out here, because it's just a matter of timing. Realtors, for example, meet people all the time when they're going to show properties or whatever, and that's a 40-50% female dominated industry, and they have to go in couples. They have to change their routines and everything else just to be safer. They go to take karate lessons. I mean, there's all kinds of things that people are doing, and we just feel that eZverifi will just become an integral part of a person's everyday life. It's just a service that they'll be able to say, hey, I don't have to take this risk any longer. I can for dollar and a half, whatever, couple dollars, I can go verify someone's identity real quickly and conveniently.
So what have you learned along this journey about starting a tech company?
Well, Tim, I have about 30 years in construction business, so I'm used to not talking to people. I'm used to talking to bricks, and bricks don't talk back, So it's been very, very difficult because I'm not an IT person by nature, but I am a builder. So as a builder, I've always learned in building a project, a house or building or whatever, I never did that singularly. I always had to build a team. I had to have my own staff. I had to have my subcontractors. I had to have other vendors. So this is really no different for me as far as a business owner. We've just been struggling. We've worked with folks offshore. We've worked with freelancers. We have we have been successful at having management expertise provided to us by other folks. I mean, it's just been a real inspiring thing for me because I like challenges, number one, but I also like being able to help others, and as this project has evolved, it's just every day I wake up and I'm surprised at something new that's being afforded me the opportunity to make this thing even better. So I don't know if I answered your question, but it's just, like I said, it's just been a real learning process for me.
It's interesting hearing that, though, Tim. As I'm listening, I'm hearing, building a business is the same. It's the thing inside of it that's different, and that with having 3 decades of experience in construction, the building aspect from a management perspective is the same, right? And I think that's probably how business schools teach things. It's like, the business, it doesn't matter what the business is. This is the way to do it. Yet technology is this interesting thing. Mobile application verification kind of stuff, it's still pretty young. If we look back at, I don't know, 2004, somewhere in Boston, there was a guy named Zuckerberg building the internet, and now a lot of things are being built off of that, if you think about it. And so we're still not even at 2 decades of that. Technology has definitely grown. You hear Dennis talk about stuff like that. What are some of, because you've dealt with so many founders in the area, Tim, that have technology struggles and things like that, what are some of the things that you've seen them do to push through or to gain what they want out of their business, where it's we don't live in a Silicon Valley where it's so tech heavy and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing that people need to do is, it's great that someone like Dennis has embraced a technology-based business and not letting that be a barrier. But a big thing that people can do to help themselves out is to find that partner, find that champion, find that co-founder, whatever you want to call it, just that has that technical background that you can lean into. And so Dennis has the project management building type of experience, and then he partners himself with someone that has the technology experience, and then you move forward and go that way. There's a lot of resources out there, but man, you can get in trouble if you suffer from mentor whiplash and you have all these people telling you different things to go to, or going to YouTube University to try to figure. There's just so many different points of view out there, but going out there and finding that person that you can trust.
Well, and there's so Dennis, you are a finalist this year's Start Peninsula, an event that you pitched at one of the earlier, I don't know, what do you call mini pitches?
Yeah, micro pitches. Yeah,
micro pitches. Yeah. Going through that performance, going through that stage, how do you prepare yourself for something like that when you've never really done it before?
Well, you actually work harder. You work harder. You lose yourself somewhat in the process that you're endeavored to complete, and taking ownership of things is an essential part of being successful. So I've always, good or bad, if I messed it up, I'd get it right. And if I got it right, I move on to the next one, you know? So, um, I, I like surprises. I like to surprise myself. You know, I like to say, wow, that got done, you know. But the idea is that I never really sort of count my chickens, if you will. I just work hard and I continue to surround myself with knowledgeable and supportive people. And, I mean, it's it's a respect for the game. You know, the game of business and the industry itself is so lucrative. Hampton Roads is a very wealthy collage of individuals from all walks of life. And like Tim has said, there's so many resources out here to help people. You know, you just got to start the process. And I think it will surprise you that as you start the process, there'll be facilitators along the way to take you to the next step. You know, you just have to endeavor, you know, and commit yourself to that particular endeavor.
It's interesting as you're saying. Hold on one second, Tim. As you're saying that, it's almost like if you don't just get out there and start doing it, you're not going to learn enough, and you're going to over prepare yourself. So I judged one of the competitions the other day, Dennis, and like you could tell the people that were like trying to memorize their thing and only talk to themselves, never got out there, didn't really, they just had never worked anything out through their head. And It's just, or only through their head, never with anyone else. And it's just like, you can actually be too prepared for something by not actually getting yourself out of your, comfort zone, if you will. And I think that's interesting that, that's how I kind of recap what you were saying. Is like, hey, like we know challenges are going to happen. Maybe I should have bullet points on what I want to say, but that's about it. Like, I don't know. I don't know what this judge is going to say. I don't know what, I don't know what Zack and Tim are going to ask me on this show,
Well,
like
that's it. I mean, everybody would memorize what they're saying. They would think they would have everything together and ready to go. And then when Zack was a judge, Zack would essentially punch him in the face. And then they wouldn't know what to do because Zack asked something that wasn't in the bullet points for him to remember. So it's like, I applaud you, Dennis, for going out there and putting your baby out there on display for people to see and judge. And so as you're getting out there and you're talking to customers and you're getting customers and you're starting to generate revenue, now you're in a position where you can ask judges or mentors, or when a judge asks you, hey, how do you make money? What's your revenue model? And that you can save so much time and so much pain by being forced to think through that process now and learning that now and testing that now and failing now and then correcting it, because otherwise if you prolong that 6 months, 12 months, those problems just become bigger and they become more difficult to correct. And, you're facing all of these things now and able to address them. So I applaud you for that.
Well, thank you, Tim. You and Zack together have been very, very inspirational, very informative as well, as far as supporting our endeavor. I think that when I look at where I've come from, and I had no idea that evening would wind up changing my life. I just thought when I saw, I'm watching the 11 o'clock news like I've done most of the nights of my life. But that particular night, it was so different because it changed. It gave me a different purpose. It made something that was not existing in my life real. And all of a sudden now I had to do something about it because things aren't going to get better when people just watch things, or hope that they get better. You have to be able to take some form of action towards trying to make them better. And I think eZverifi is I mean, just the name itself. If I told you some of the names that I tried to employ with it, you would be like,
let's hear them. Come on.
Wow.
Come on.
It's crazy because
Dennis's verification tool.
I kind of discarded them because at the end of the day, they were all leading to eZverifi. So as I dropped a letter or added a vowel or took out some acronym, something totally different, I mean, it was like, nah, it's eZverifi. and I probably got some old logos around somewhere, but the idea is that it's still it's like
Dude,
it was just
it's
the growing process of the whole
so
thing.
painful.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
painful.
and you got to be a little bit touched in the head to really want to be a business owner, I think, because
Well,
you kind of get bugged out because you realize that what I'm obsessed with this. I love this thing because I feel like it really has some merits. Now, on the other side of that, I was taught, fortunately, as a young man, that businesses fail. People don't fail, but businesses fail. So some businesses are going to be successful, other businesses aren't. But that should not be a direct correlation of who you are, a definition of who you are as a
100%
person.
agree.
You know,
100% agree. That's exactly what I was just going to say, is that people want to take things so personal that it's like Zach is a judge or me working with a business. By
yeah,
me telling you that you're wrong, I'm not saying that you are wrong as a
right.
person. I'm just saying that, hey, I want your business to be successful. And in order for your business to be successful, you should think about this, or you need to tweak that, or let's work on this. And I'm not attacking you as a person, and Zach is not attacking you as a person. It's like, let's make this business stronger so that you're successful in the long run.
Sure, sure. And you have to be able to hear. You have to hear that. You can't get locked up and closed-minded when someone's actually trying to build you up. In
That's your
fact,
baby syndrome, right? That's like, don't call my baby ugly. It's like,
yeah.
well, I mean, we're calling your baby ugly so it actually can grow up and look pretty good.
Right. You
Well,
need a haircut.
I
I
like
do
it.
need a haircut. Thanks.
Well, no,
So mean.
do something.
No,
I mean,
the
it's
problem
just,
with having long hair is you don't know what to do with it. So I mean, way to call me out like that, Tim. I mean,
no,
that's
I wasn't calling you
ridiculous.
out at all.
I
Should have
think it
used a
looks
different
great,
example.
Zach. I think
This
it
is
looks great,
absurd.
Zach.
I can't, but no, but
Yeah.
the way I handle that is how a lot of people do it. They get so emotionally like triggered by it. And it's like, yo, like I've
And it's easy to
actually
do.
been in your situation. I remember like I had been in like, you know how people would be like, oh, we're Uber, the Uber for whatever's. You know how people used to say that
Yeah.
was like their tagline. So I had been associated in some form of like 12 companies like that, probably between 12 and 15. And I remember there was one that had come to Hatch and was like, hey, like we want to do this thing for like ammunition. Because apparently there's ammo shortages and like, so like you got to figure out where it is. And they were going to be the thing that was going to, and on the surface, it makes sense. We're gonna let you know where you can get ammunition. And I was like, here's the problem. And I learned this when we were doing Carrie Norfolk, which was basically
The Uber for
cuisine for restaurants, things like that. Like, hey, we're gonna get you. It's like Postmates, DoorDash, whatever, things like that. The problem is that when you use technology and you're not tied into someone's POS, their point of sale, to figure out their inventory system, you don't know if they have something or not. And you're hoping that that person is going to go in there and actually verify that that ammunition is there, that food is there, whatever. What we learned is that, hey, by the way, we know that you really want this chicken sandwich because you ordered it from Carrie Norfolk, but our restaurant no longer has chicken sandwiches right now because we sold out of chicken. I, as the person who work at the restaurant, is not calling you, Carrie Norfolk, to say, hey, there's no more chicken.
right.
And the way that this business, and I can't remember what the name of the business is, but the way that the ammunition business, they were assuming that your Walmarts, your Bass Pros, your Bob's Gunshots were going to go into their system and say, hey, we have 10, we have 9, we're out, we're 86, all of your ammunition. They were assuming that they were going to have some middleman go in there and actually update their information. And I told them, I said, look, I like the idea. You haven't figured out how to actually make this transaction work because you're hoping that this person who makes minimum wage loves their job enough to go in and update your thing. And I remember in almost every single time I have a conversation like this, it takes about 6 months for them to come back and say, Zach, you were right. And I'm like, look, I'm not trying to be right. I'm trying to show you that you're not thinking this through the
Right.
end user or the person who needs to update this system. And that's what you have to do in your product. And that's where I think a lot of people don't understand kind of customer discovery is really putting yourself into that situation so you can understand how a user is doing that. Dennis, you're saying this from the, the real estate office, from, the Craigslist purchases and things like, or watching a show like Clickbait, where there's people who are catfishing and things like that. These are all potential scenarios where an end user could use your system. It's now figuring out, okay, which one of those is actually sticking. And then you basically go all in on that and figure that out. And so it's understanding why the person is providing you mentorship, advice, whatever, and then finding a way to verifying that in a way that makes it usable for the end user. So
yes, most definitely. And that's why it's so imperative to have that dialogue with folks and be able to have a channel for that open feedback, because we want to be what our end user wants us to be. We want to know how to make it as user friendly. We want to make it as affordable, as accessible. I mean, I'd give them away, but my wife won't let me,
Oh, I've heard that before.
Oh, wow. Okay, Dag. I think that was Little Joe's. But anyway,
that was a good advertising campaign.
Yeah.
Like, it's working.
Okay. But anyway, I just think that that when you have like right now we're looking to start our promotion campaign, because we kind of evaluated the advertising marketplace. How do we get our brand out there? How do we let people know that we exist? How do we educate people on the services that we're here to offer? And we thought about it, and I said, well, I could spend money on advertising, or invest in advertising, and invest in commercials, or whatever the case might be, or I could actually connect with organizations that find merit in our services and are willing to be part of our promotional process. We just think that whether we spend the dollars here or we spend the dollars there, money's going to be spent. Money's going to have to be invested in order for us to get the exposure that we need. But we really feel like anyone that's listening to our services today, anyone that thinks that they can, that they know of an organization or an individual or someone that could benefit from our services, we love to be in contact with them. We love to know how we could offer our services to them as a trial period, or whatever the case might be, promotioning the product so that folks will be able to talk for the product as opposed to me talking for the product. eZverifi, they'll bring eZverifi to the community.
So what is the pitch for an organization? Like, how do you, if you were to talk to someone in that situation, what's the pitch? I know you gave a little bit of it, but like you're trying to convince someone else to pitch you. What's the pitch to them?
Well, I mean, again, we feel that the value and the services are very clear. The idea is the relationship. What is the relationship that business or that individual has a need for? Like, does their profession require them to meet strangers on a routine basis? Or do they have an online marketplace themselves? Do they use a dating site? So if any of these applications, are they in the military? Are they transient and don't know anyone and they want to sell their mobile phone because they need to pay their rent that month? I don't know what the situation is, but whatever the circumstances would be, the need has to exist in order for them to find and experience the value that our services will offer.
Why not take that exact scenario? Hey, are you in the military trying to sell your phone, and just focus on that one little niche aspect of it, and just
I was going to ask,
really maximize something like that, or just one of those organizations.
Yeah, who your target market is right now.
Yeah. Well, our target market at this point, like I said, is so broad because we have not gotten the indications from either place. So what we're thinking right now is that doing what you guys are suggesting, we want to be able to say approach 2 or 3 different markets simultaneously, the primary 2 or 3 markets, and see which one maybe of those 3 is the most receptive. because then we can hone in on that particular market and have some relative confidence that things will be invested in the proper direction there. The military, again, because of the military structure, we don't have access to them as an organization because it's a federal institution. We can't go to them and say, hey, we're a private company and we want to do this with you. I mean, if that was the case, there'd be everyone that has a product in this area would want to be selling it to the military. But when we look at real estate companies, for example, we've looked at some MLSs, and we feel like there's a particular company in mind that we are going to approach their roster, their members directly, because we want to offer them exclusively a benefit to our services. We're looking at a couple of different marketplaces. It's ironic because there was a experience I had not long ago. My wife has a little childcare business, but she needs some storage areas. So I told her, instead of maintaining a storage unit, I said, let's purchase a little Connex box, which we found, and we brought a Connex box from a guy. Well, when we brought the Connex box, they wanted us to wire them funds or transfer funds, or it was some other means of them getting paid. Everything except a credit card. So I said, why not take no, it was a COD or something like that. And he said, we don't do CODs, you got to pay us. I said, so how do we get you paid? He says, well, if you want to send us pay by credit card, you have to do this process where you have to take a photograph of yourself with your ID and you have to text it to us. And I'm like, what? It was so crazy. So they're one of the people that we're going to go back to and say, hey, look, we purchased from you guys. Now we want y'all to purchase from us. They use, this is technology that this gentleman said that they've been using for years, where they literally require people, before they would accept a credit card from them, to take a photograph of themselves with the credit card. I mean, it was so funny, but I thought that was pretty interesting.
How does it work with, so someone signs up, or is it a subscription model? Is it a transaction model? Walk us through the customer experience from that standpoint.
It's actually a combination of both. It's a transaction model for those who don't have a consistent need. For those who actually want to have that subscription, they can like a small business, for example, we start them out with 50 verifications for $50. So it's actually like $1 per verification. That's why the value, as I referenced earlier, kind of fluctuates a little bit. But at $50 an hour, $50, $1 per transaction, you get 50 transactions. Now, once you use up those, you automatically will renew for another 50. So that's the subscription end versus the individual end, where the person that is only using it randomly or sporadically would need to just log in when they're ready to use it, and when they're not, they don't.
And how does that work for the individual?
Well, for the individual, once you've activated your account, the individual fee is $2.49. And that will allow you, with the phone number or email of anyone that you want to verify, that will allow you the opportunity to run them through eZverifi system and get your results as to what their standing is.
I mean, I'm just thinking, me, as like I had mentioned, my mother-in-law, I would pay $30 a year for her to subscribe to your service and say, hey, before you call another 1-800 number and give someone your credit card number, use your service. And then, just based
You're
on
giving
how
him another idea.
Based on how I value my time,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, that would.
Well, I mean, think about how many people have sent $1,500 to the prince in some country that they've never heard of, right? I can think of, my.
That's not true. That's not real.
Well, I mean, that was the big thing that you start. Oh, the prince of wherever,
I'm waiting for my money to come back.
I mean, it's. I think about how many of those. Dennis's friend that did it last week. Your mother-in-law, my grandma-in-law. is that what you call grandma-in-law? A grandma-in-law who clicks and her computer's broken every other day because she clicks something, calls someone, whatever.
Right,
I mean,
right.
I would assume that aspect of like being scammed is like $100 billion a year market.
That's to me, if I was Dennis, that would be my first target. That would be my first segment.
Yeah, the parents or the concerned relative or friend of a thing buying it for this other aspect.
What I would do, I would, just like how Superhuman works, it's an email platform that I use. You sign up, and the first thing that they do is they set up a Zoom call, and they do a 30-minute concierge service with you and walk you through how to use the program and make sure that they answer every single question. And in terms of a customer experience standpoint, it's unlike anything that I have ever done. And then that way you are on the call with the son or daughter, with the mother-in-law, whoever, and you go through the process. This is how you do it. So next time a pop-up window comes up, you take that number, you put it in eZverifi, and if it's not who it says it is, then you don't have to worry about it, kind of thing. And then there's just that peace of mind. And then as the person paying for the service, man, $30 a year. I mean, I wouldn't even think twice about paying for something like that.
That is another market. That's another market. I mean, we've had people say, look, we know that some of the Uber and delivery places, for example, they will send, or the taxi cab services, they'll send a supposedly verified driver to pick you up. But that verified driver has no idea who you are. It would be great if there was some connection between those two databases that would say, hey, not only are you the driver, but I am the passenger. So there's again a two-way communications that would exist there too. To me, like I said, I don't want to sound like it's the panacea or whatever, but the idea is that there's so many benefits that it has to offer. And I agree with you guys. I mean, I wish, well, it's making itself visible to me every day. I just haven't finally gotten to that point. And I'm going to tell you this, the first phone call that I received, or the first purchase that was made, I'm riding down the street and all of a sudden I heard my phone go off, ching, and I was like, what was that? And it was someone purchasing membership with eZverifi. And I was like, wow, so it really does work.
Did you set your ringtone to be money?
Well, what happened, I guess, is my credit card supplier, once money comes in, it's like a little reaction that somebody just purchased your services. That's a crazy feeling when somebody thinks enough about you to say, here's a couple dollars for what you're offering me.
It's like hearing your song on the radio for the first time. I would imagine.
Oh wow!
I remember
there was nothing like it.
The first time I saw someone wear like a Start Norfolk shirt on the street, I was like, oh, that's interesting. I have no idea who you are. Thanks for wearing my sweater.
There's a guy. There's a guy that I see riding his bike around my neighborhood with a Start Peninsula shirt on. It was kind of the same thing. I'm like, I have no idea who this person is, but that's pretty cool.
The worst feeling in the same the worst feeling in the same realm is when you see that shirt at the thrift store.
Right.
Like, dang out.
For a quarter.
So if I was to change my ringtone to something like that, or the transaction ringtone, it would be the $1 Million Man's when he, like the wrestling guy.
Nah. That's not it. That's not it, Zach. Come on now. You want it to be, oh wow, they love me.
Yeah, they do. But like you think of like the $1 Million Man, he comes out like the rest. I mean, come on. That would be that'd be fun. Okay. Anyway. What's something that we haven't talked about that you want to talk about?
Well, for the most part, I think that, again, the benefits, we've kind of experienced that. But I really want to talk about our relationship with TransUnion. TransUnion was one of the first hurdles that we had to overcome. And the reason I say that is because they became an integral part of our verification. In other words, the first question we ask ourselves is, we want to verify someone else, but who's verifying us? And so often, it's like the old adage, who's judging the judge? Well, we went to TransUnion because TransUnion has a 6 billion device ID database service for people that they have verified. So in order for us to get access to verify someone else, we had to first be verified through them. And we pay a fee for their services per transaction. So for our listeners to understand that, you know, we've built a collage of services to include the device ID service, the OCR technology, which stands for optical character recognition, whereby once we scan your ID, we take your photograph off of that ID. We also grab your address and other information so that when you're ready to register, all you have to do is to enter your name, your password, and your login, your email and your password. That will give you immediate access. So you're not doing all the keystrokes and typing in information. We've grabbed a photograph of you that we can disseminate and put a part of your profile and make it that way. We use the simple one-time passcode technology with every device, so that once a call comes in, we verify not only the device's number with a passcode, but we also verify your location, your geographics. So we're constantly figuring out things that we can emerge into our services, again, to simplify the transactions between strangers. And I just think that, you know, again, the value of it and the merits of it, they speak for themselves. I mean, they're not, it's not a hard sale, but it's just an educational process to let people know that we're here.
Using a tool like using a tool like TransUnion, I mean, was that an easy decision in your case? Like, to try to figure out, like, was it, hey, we could try to build this thing on our own and try and get all this security information of all these other people? Or, like, how do you figure out that TransUnion has an open API that is able to connect to all those 6 billion devices? Like, how do you guys come about that decision?
Sure. I mean, it was a research. It was part of the research process. And it was kind of ironic that they actually did not have this technology until around 2 months, 3 months after we started doing our research. So it was like, again, a godsend that said, hey, well, if I was looking a month, 4 months ago, I wouldn't have found this from them. But when we started looking a few months later, we found out, wow, TransUnion just purchased this company that has this technology. They didn't have it themselves. But at the end of the day, we know that there's a lot of very, very lucrative and large companies. I mean, the identity verification market is a $60 billion industry. I mean, it's unbelievable with the amount of resources that go into it. And I think that every day it's just getting more and more common practice to.
We lose him?
I guess we lost him. Maybe he'll come back. We'll give him 5 seconds. But any overall takeaways, Tim?
Yeah, I look forward to hearing what Dennis has to. His pitch on November 3rd, I believe, is the day for Start Peninsula. And anybody that wants to watch Dennis and learn more about it can go to startpeninsula.com and watch that final pitch event.
And an event like that has been going on for what? How many years now? 10?
This is our ninth year.
9th year. Well, there you go. Well,
yeah,
we lost his last thoughts, but I'm sure it was monumental. You guys should check out eZverifi. You can go see them at eZverifi.com, right there on the screen. eZverifi.com. Until next time, we'll see you guys soon. Appreciate you watching. Peace.
See you, Zach.